Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India.
Dear Sadhviji, how can I get my teenage son, who is mostly only interested in playing games online and becoming famous on YouTube, to take an interest in spiritual things and giving to others? Thank you so much. Our children and the world of online. It's a deep dilemma because those of us who were blessed, and to me it really feels like a blessing, to grow up when we didn't have smartphones, to grow up where discovering one identity within you was hard enough. Am I a jock? Am I an academic? Am I, the homecoming king or queen? Or am I the, best at math? Am I the football player? Or am I the musician? Or am I the rebel? Or, in school there's all of these little groups and cliques, and kids identify so much based on which group they're in. And it's hard enough figuring out who you are. On the most basic level, I don't even mean on the spiritual level, on just the most basic level, without having to simultaneously curate an online identity. Kids these days not only have to figure out who they really are, but they also have to curate an identity that is a very manicured or embellished or completely different identity than who they are. And I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it must be. I see it. I see it in kids. I feel that struggle. I watch it. But what that must be like to be 10, 11, 12, 16 and trying to figure out who you are, and simultaneously trying to figure out what you have to say, wear, do to get the most likes online. From over here, it looks like torture. So the first piece is have compassion. They're really juggling an awful lot. But number two, help your son understand. Don't take him away from it, because unfortunately we cannot rewind history. We cannot uninvent the smartphone. We can't uninvent social media. And so our tools become, number one, how do we use these in positive ways? Because of course, they're just tools. Like fire is a tool. It can either cook your food or burn down your house. This technology is just a tool. It can either share and spread spirituality, inspiration. Look, here you are having satsang on YouTube or on Facebook. So that same technology actually can be a technology of spirituality. It's not the problem of the technology. But what your son needs is for you to understand how difficult it is for him to A, maneuver his way through school and his friend circle, and B, have to pay so much attention not only to who's talking to him at school or who he's eating lunch with or what parties he's going to, but this whole other parallel world of how many followers, how many likes, how many comments, how many watches, how many views. Have compassion for that. But also remember that parents, since time immemorial, long before there were smartphones, parents have been telling their children, get off the phone, turn off the TV. And even if it was just an old TV with a dial, nonetheless, the kids would scream and cry, no, 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 Mom, just one more show. I remember saying to my parents, no, this is my favorite commercial. Just let me watch this commercial. And they would laugh because, of course, how pathetic. But it's that urge, just another 2 minutes. Even the show's not on, but just another, my favorite commercial. So parents have been turning off TVs while kids kick and scream. Parents have been pushing down the button on the phone, the old phones that actually had little buttons that went up and down to hang up the phone, while kids kicked and screamed and cried. This is a part of parenting. Just because we're now doing it on smartphones or digitally doesn't mean that somehow parents aren't going to have to go through the same thing that parents have always gone through, which is to learn to say no. And then to have the courage to deal with it when your son says, I hate you. You're the worst mom ever. All of my friends' mothers let them on YouTube all night long. But welcome to being a parent. I used to yell at my parents for not letting me eat sugar cereal. My best friend who lived next door was allowed to eat all of the junk he wanted. And I used to go over there in the morning and eat bowl after bowl of Lucky Charms cereal because I wasn't allowed to have it at home. And would yell at my parents, I hate you, it's not fair. Why can Robbie have Lucky Charms and I can't have Lucky Charms? But you know what? They never gave in. They never said, oh, you hate us? Okay, you can eat Lucky Charms. Oh, you're angry? Okay. You can have Lucky Charms. They did what parents have always done, which is they said, I'm so sorry you're upset. Deal with it. Or I'm so sorry you're upset. Someday you will thank me. Which of course I do, because thanks to them I was raised with really, really healthy eating habits. In the same way, have that courage to put your foot down. Turn off the Wi-Fi in the house if you need to. Do whatever you need to do. That's what parental controls are for. Implement them. And you'll get kicking and screaming, but that's okay. And in terms of spirituality, well, he likes YouTube. So maybe introduce him to some spiritual things that are coming on YouTube. Whether it's lectures, satsang, whether it's chanting, whatever it may be, there's so much. Introduce him there. Maybe there's a wonderful meditation channel. Or bring him to sit next to you while we have our online meditations on Mondays and Fridays. Whatever it may be. Or next time he asks you a question, tell him, I'll ask that in Satsang. You can watch it with me on YouTube. Try not to draw this line between technology and spirituality. Because technology can also be a tool of spirituality. Help them understand technology is just a tool. How they use it is up to them. And like everything, there are limits. And as the mom and the dad, you get to set the limits.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
जुगता तो वो है जिसमें जान होती है, अकड़ तो मुर्दे पहचान होती है. And what it means is, the one who bends is the one who's alive. A corpse can't bend. A corpse is very rigid. And the way to know where there is life is where there is bending, meaning humility, we bend. Flexibility, we bend. Change, we bend. So all of us, there's no different rules in the world for leaders versus followers. That which makes a good leader makes a good human being. Being flexible, being introspective, because times change, situations change. For us to say, oh, this is the way we've always done it, neither is it a good strategy, nor is it the mark of good leadership. So whether you're looking at a financial strategy, a cultural strategy, or just a general leadership strategy, to be rigid and stuck, to have a death grip of vice around your mind, is going to ensure that everything suffocates. We have to allow the truth of the moment to come in. If we come up here on the roof for satsang, or we get everything set up, and it starts to rain. And the guys forgot the umbrellas. Well, for me to sit here and say, no, 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 we're just going to continue satsang because this is what we do. It's not time to end it yet. Ensures not only that we all get drenched, but that all of the equipment is ruined, that we have actually a technological and financial disaster. And just a little bit of flexibility in my mind to say, okay, we need to end early. Or, okay, can you pick up the camera and kind of follow me inside? We'll have a little bit of a satsang, a mobile satsang as we walk to somewhere inside. Just a little bit of flexibility. Too many of us lose in life. And this isn't only in leadership. This is all over life. We lose when we are stuck. This is how we've always done it. This is how I have always done it. It means that we're not open to the truth. Because that truth of the moment keeps changing. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's raining. There are days that it's very auspicious to be on the rooftop and beautiful and share the sunset over Mother Ganga with you. But of course, when the pandemic is over and we actually are able to have a crowd, we'll have to switch places to a place that enables a crowd. If I say, no, 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 must be the rooftop, we'd have people hanging over the edges. Not safe. So yes, of course, a leader must always be open to every sign, every signal of where the flow of the universe is going, and be able to use that inner GPS and also inner compass to know, where are we going? Where are we going? But again, that's not only important for leaders. So don't think, oh, well, I'm not a leader, so I don't have to be flexible. We all have to be flexible. We all have to allow. Like right now, look, in the middle of COVID pandemic, what if leaders said, no, I'll only talk to thousands of people at once, live? Well, that would endanger the lives of the thousands of people. It would also be illegal in most places. It would certainly not be a wise decision. This pandemic has forced every one of us, from the highest level leadership to just people in their homes with their families, to change everything about how we live. And if we're not able to do that, we won't survive it. If we insist on living during COVID the way we lived prior to COVID, there's a very good chance that we're going to get sick and that we'll infect others. So we have to be open and flexible. We have to be able to look at the changing flow of the river of life and adjust our sails accordingly. It's the only way to navigate the river of life, the ocean of life, especially if you've got people following you. It's even more important then, because being rigid and stuck is bad enough when it's just your life. But for you to suffocate other people's lives, the lack of dharma, the lack of responsibility, the lack of integrity. So yeah, we all have to be flexible.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
If this happens a lot, and you know that you're not listening to your own internal voice, you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm listening to more? Which voice am I listening to? If my own internal self is saying north, 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 and I keep going east, 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 but I know that I want to be listening to my internal voice, I have to ask myself, who is shouting east? Or who has convinced me east? Or who is standing in the east saying, come here, come here, come here, come here? What is that other voice? And only then can we really solve this. What is it I'm listening to that I pay more attention to than my own inner voice? Usually it's the ego, fear, desire, laziness, patterns. So for example, the inner voice says, I need to embark more deeply on a spiritual path. I will get up in the morning and meditate. In the morning, the alarm goes off. The laziness within me says, just another 10 minutes. Hit the snooze button. The fear within me says, you're never going to get anything from meditation anyway. You're not worthy. You're not divine. Kuch hone wali nahi hai usme. Again, I hit the snooze button. All sorts of things. The ego comes in and says, Are kya jaruri hai? You're already perfect. Shastra mein bhi aise likha hua hai. The scriptures tell us that also. You are perfect. Why meditate? Let us sleep. So there's all these other voices that are at play. And if I find that day after day I'm not listening to my inner voice, what am I listening to? Or if I find that in the workplace, for example, that maybe I'm working in a company where profits are all that matters. And even though I'm aware that we're exploiting child labor or women in sweatshops, or that we're harming the air, polluting the air or polluting the soil or the water. And my inner voice is saying this isn't right. But I don't listen. And I don't leave the job, or I don't speak up and try to change how business is done. Then I have to look and say, what else is speaking in me? Is it my fear of being rejected? Fear of being ridiculed? Fear that they won't like me if I speak my truth? Maybe it's my fear of not having a job. Maybe it's my ego. Whatever it may be. But what voice am I listening to other than my own internal one? And the minute that we realize and recognize that, then whenever that voice comes up, we're able to address it by name. Hey, fear of not having any friends. Don't worry. You have a lot of friends. Or even you have one good friend. That's all you need. Or hey, fear of not having any friends. Do I really want friends who are only my friends by me agreeing to be part of something that goes against everything I believe in? Or hey, fear of being ridiculed. I'm not going to fall apart. I don't need your approval as the glue that holds me together. My own truth is what holds me together. And you just start calling it by name. Or in the morning when the alarm goes off and laziness says, just another 10 minutes. I can address it by name. I can say, hey, laziness, you've been running the show a little too long. If you're that tired, get me in bed 15 minutes earlier in the night. Or the fear comes in. I can say, hey, fear of not being good enough. I am going to get enlightened. I am going to discover my true self. Because it's in me. It is me. Every guru, every saint, every sage, every teacher says, I have it in me and I can experience it. Hey, ego, that says I'm already perfect. You're right. On the inner level, I am. That's what I want to get up to meditate, to discover. You can't trick me out of getting out of bed. So figure out what these voices are and then just have a little fun with them. I find that it works really well if we can take ourselves a little bit lightly and just kind of call out all of these different not so functional aspects of us by name. Hey, fear. Hey, anger. Hey, greed. Hey, lust. Hey, not enoughness. Hey, my 5th grade teacher who told me I was stupid and would never be anything. Hey, ego. Call them by name. With a little bit of gentleness. They're not your enemies. But then keep doing what you're going to do. Move them out of the driver's seat of your life. Give them a smile. Acknowledge them. And then lead from that inner voice. And the more you do that, the more that will become your habit. And the less these voices will think that they have the ability to send you in the wrong direction. It's just that we've been listening to their directions for so long that that's become a habit. You know, it's like if you've got a GPS telling you to turn in one direction and you know that's not the right direction. You've driven this road 100 times. But maybe the GPS at that moment lost its data signal. So it's confused. It thinks you were, half a mile back and it's giving you the wrong directions. But how many of us listen to it, even against our own better judgment? And then we laugh later thinking, I knew the way. Why did I listen to this stupid machine? Because we've become so habituated. It says turn right, we turn right. And in the same way, we've become so habituated to the voices of fear, of ego, of desire, of all of that, that we've stopped listening to the inner voice. Just get back in the habit, or get in the habit for the first time. You'll figure it out. It's quite natural. You just have to get in the habit. And slowly, 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 that'll become your habit. That'll become your nature. You'll still have these other voices, but they won't have that power over you. You'll acknowledge them, and then you'll realize that no, you know the way to go.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with Inspiration and Transformation.
There's two elements at work, probably more even, but two come to mind immediately. And the first is the individual being who is begging on the streets. For them, do whatever you can. If you have food, give them food. If you have money, give them money. If you know, if you can tell, that they're begging for themselves. We know, for example, in a lot of the big cities in India that those who are begging are actually begging as part of a mafia. And the money you give them isn't actually going to them, but it's going to mafia leaders. And so it's not actually helping them, but it's just contributing to that system. But if you know that they're just begging for themselves, offer them what you can. Because in that moment, the universe has put them in front of you and you in front of them. And there's no mistakes. So if the two of you have found yourself face to face on a street corner, offer them whatever you can. And if you can't offer money, at least offer them the gift of being seen. Don't ignore them. Don't pretend that they don't exist. Don't deny them their humanity. There's no rule that says thou shalt have a home and then you are a human. Thou shalt have clean clothes, then you are a human. There's no rule that says that. The lack of a home, The lack of clean clothes, the lack of a place to sleep, the lack of money, the lack of a job, the lack of mental health. These things do not remove someone's humanity. So if you have the means available to help them logistically, do so. And if not, at least give them their humanity. At least treat them the way that you would any other human on the street who approached you. Smile. Make eye contact. See them. Let them know they've been seen. On the streets of Delhi, when I first moved to India, I used to give money to the kids who would come up to the cars to beg. And there's two main dilemmas there. The first, of course, is that they are working for mafias. The kids on the street are not begging for themselves. They're part of an organized ring. And the second problem is that the minute that you give to two of them as they come up outside your window, 30 come out of nowhere and rush into the middle of the street to try to get money from you. And then, of course, the light turns from red to green and the cars start to go. And you end up the cause of sometimes fatal accidents. And so I was told very quickly, don't give money to these people begging on the streets. And I understood and believed it. And now, when they come up, my personal thing, I won't let myself look away. If they're on the street and I'm walking by and I have something, I'll give them. If it's in the street and I'm in a car and I don't want 30 more to come out of the woodwork, I'll make sure to at least turn my face and look at them. And look them in the eyes. And see them. And it's not just about seeing them so they feel seen. It's for me. It's for me to make sure that my own heart stays open. Because it's very easy. It's very easy to harden our hearts. If you know I'm not going to give them money, it's just a mafia, or, I'm going to cause a traffic accident, it's very easy to turn away. It's very uncomfortable to have someone looking at you, begging, motioning, food, 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 pointing to the child in their arms, and not to give them something. It's much easier to look away. But I made a commitment to myself many, many years ago that I wouldn't let myself off the hook. I wouldn't let the fact that they were working for someone who was stealing the money I put in their hands, I wasn't going to let that deprive either them or me of the opportunity to have a human connection in that moment. And I wasn't going to let that deprive me of having an open heart in every moment. So at the absolute bare minimum, at least see them. For them and for you. Never let your heart get so hard that you have to turn your face away against from someone who's begging because you have nothing to offer. Give them a smile. Look them in the eyes. So that's that first part of you and them intersecting in that moment. But the second part is the malfunction of our systems. Because obviously the answer to poverty and to homelessness is not for all of us just to hand out money and food to everyone on the streets. Yes, temporarily, as long as there are hungry people on the streets, it's our duty to do whatever we can for them. But on a deeper and more important systemic level, we have to work to end the systems that put people on the street homeless and hungry And that has to do with how we vote, not just in terms of presidents of nations, but how we vote on the, small propositions, the bills that come. How we vote on lawmakers who are going to maybe raise our taxes a little bit in order to give more to health care and education so that people don't end up on the street. To give more to welfare so that people who lose their jobs still have an income. That's up to us, the voters, the taxpayers, the policymakers, to actually create a system in our governments, in our non-governmental organizations, that actually helps these people and gets them off the street so that they're not dependent for the rest of their lives on handouts from us of food or money. And that's also required. So yes, if you've got an apple, give it. If you've got some money, give it. But do not think that that is the beginning and the end of your karmic duty to them. Your duty is to vote, to choose to live in ways that enable them to also live. And yeah, it may mean paying a little bit of extra taxes. But you know what? When we say Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is a family, we share. We share in a family. And when we chant that, when we say that, we have to back it up by how we live. And so we have to be prepared to sacrifice a little bit such that others can also live dignified, healthy lives. And that is also our responsibility.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with Inspiration and Transformation.
Why do we not speak up when we should have? Those of us who are committed to living a life of truth, a life of Dharma, we introspect, we contemplate, we look at ourselves. And sometimes when we do that, there'll be a moment where you look back and you realize, I really should have said something. Something wrong was happening in that moment. Maybe it was something that seems innocuous. Maybe people were just being judgmental and gossipy and negative and criticizing. Maybe it was something worse. Maybe you witnessed actually some form of real abuse. And for whatever reason in that moment, you stayed quiet. And now, in this moment of introspection, of contemplation, you wonder, how did that happen? I'm someone committed to love, to truth, to nonviolence, to integrity, to dharma. How did I not speak up? And this is where our own inner lack of security plays in. We don't speak up because in that moment there's a voice in our head that says, what if people laugh at me? What if they criticize me? 2 minutes ago, I wasn't the subject of the abuse. I wasn't the subject of the criticism. It was someone else. But if I speak up, maybe I will become the one being criticized. Maybe I will become the one being judged. Maybe they will think badly about me. And because so many of our sense of self is rooted in what other people are saying about us, or what we think they're saying, what other people think about us, we have to make sure that they like us. And the tragedy of that is we find ourselves caring very deeply about what people who we don't even necessarily like or respect, what they think of us. And that's even more crazy. It's like that famous saying, I think it was Groucho Marx, who said, I don't want to be part of any club that wants me to be a member. Meaning, I feel so badly about myself that if you actually want me to be a part of your club, it means you must not be a very prestigious club. And he was a comedian, of course, but a lot of us have that same sense of, if I say something, if I do something, maybe they're going to realize that I'm not worthy of their friendship. I'm not worthy of being in the inner circle. And so we don't. And it's tragic. It's also dangerous. Because, some of it is just negative, stupid, gossip, nonsense, judgment, just the utter waste of time and spreading of bad energies. But on a deeper level, it's also the same stuff that genocide is created out of. People not speaking up about something that's wrong is what enables wrong to continue. And so every one of us needs to be really sure that we not only know our truth, that we not only speak the truth, but that we also refuse to partake of situations in which things we don't believe in are happening. And so, for example, I'm a very strict vegetarian. If you tried to feed me meat, I wouldn't take it. Because I know I'm a vegetarian. And maybe I would worry that you would be upset or hurt, but I wouldn't worry that much. Certainly not enough that it would be enough to make me eat non-veg. And in the same way, the stuff we take in through our ears, what we listen to people say, the energy we take in through the energy around us, that's no less impactful upon us than the food we eat. And it's no less destructive for the world than non-veggies. And so in the same way that we are very clear about the food we take in, we're very clear about what we drink, we're clear about what music we listen to even. Oh, turn that nonsense off. So many people tell their kids, or kids tell their parents. In the same way, on an even deeper and more important level, when you're somewhere where you know you need to speak up, do it. Don't worry what the other people are going to think. If somebody is going to judge you negatively for bringing truth into a situation of falsehood, for bringing dharma into a situation of non-dharma, adharma, for bringing light into a situation of darkness, for bringing depth into a situation of shallowness, then they're not people whose opinion should matter. Our lives are very precious. We have 24 hours in a day. We have to sleep. We have to bathe. We have to eat. We've got so many things we have to do. The amount of time left over is very short and very precious. Make sure that every one of those moments is spent in alignment with what you know to be true, what you know to be light, what you know to be deep. Those are the building blocks, the bricks of the temple of you. Now that doesn't mean that by speaking up, by the way, that other people are going to change. Doesn't mean people are going to say, oh, thank you so much for putting us on the right track. We're going to stop gossiping right now. Or, oh, thank you so much for putting me on the right track. I'm going to stop beating this kid right now. Very rarely do people actually say, oh, thank you so much for putting me in my place. Usually, they do turn on us. Usually, they do criticize us. But you know what? The purpose of our life, our dharma, is not about how we can get through life without this one criticizing me, without this one thinking that I'm making a decision different than what they would make. At the end of the day, it's not about how many people liked you because you upheld and rationalized and condoned their way of living in darkness, in violence, in negativity and separation. At the end of the day, what matters is how much light did you bring? How much truth did you bring? So have the courage. Speak up. But make sure, lastly, that when you speak from truth and you speak from light. It doesn't mean that you turn around and start criticizing others. It doesn't mean that you turn around high and mighty and holy, better than thou. But just speak from your truth. Speak from your heart. Speak love. Speak oneness. Speak dharma. Speak righteousness. Where it lands, it's not up to you. This is where Lord Krishna said, do not be attached to the fruits of your labor. Speak the truth. Speak dharma, live truth. What other people do with that, that's their karma.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week, and I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on OMTimes Radio.